Discord. All right. Good morning, KW Prosperity. It is Matt here with you today. Thank you, Jamie D. I see you guys are on Zoom. I'm also streaming this live on Facebook, so I'll be able to toggle back and forth. If you guys, anybody who's watching on Facebook, if you have questions on there, please feel free to ask it, and I'll be able to check out on Facebook. Really today, my objective is to teach everybody who's watching either on Zoom or on Facebook how to add yourself as a contact, how to assign a neighborhood to yourself, and how to put yourself on what's called a neighborhood smart plan. The smart plan is similar to a drip campaign. It will go out every month. So if you have somebody associated with the Wayne neighborhood or Packanack Lake or a specific neighborhood, every month your client will be getting an email that will say new properties or your saved search, your saved neighborhoods. They'll get something every single month from you, and that will then your client will get that. Now it's a live link, and I'm going to get into this once I'm going to share my screen in a minute as I go into command. But essentially, the link that they get every month is a live link. So if they save that link or bookmark it, any new properties that come on the MLS, it gets updated, I believe, every 15 minutes. So that link, if there's new listings that come on, will be able to be displayed and featured through that neighborhood URL. But rather than talking, that's just an overview of it. But I'm going to now dive into how to actually use it. So let me share my screen. Let's see. I think it's this one that I want to go on. All right. So D or Jamie, if one of you, can you give me a thumbs up and let me know that you're seeing the command dashboard? Okay.
I see it. I don't know how to do a thumbs up.
You're good. I just wanted to make sure that you were seeing what I'm seeing. And let me just check in Facebook to make sure they're seeing it as well. Yep. Okay, good. So we're exactly where we need to be. So for those of you, if you haven't been to command to access it, it's just command.kw.com. So that's command.kw.com. And it will take you to a screen where you'll enter your username and password. Your username is most likely going to be your first initial and last name. And then your password is going to be whatever you've set up. It's got to have an uppercase letter, a number, and I think it's got to be at least like 8 characters. So if that helps for anybody who might not know their password, that's going to be the parameters. You can always do forgot password if you don't remember it. But now this is going to be the main command dashboard. All right. So the first step in order to get the smart plan activated and to be able to send it out to your clients is to create a contact. So if you've never created a contact before, the first thing you need to do on the left-hand side, you've got the home button, which is where we are now, and the first one down says contacts. So in order to add a contact, you will first click the contacts option. And it will then take you to a screen that will show you every contact that you've ever added. So if you've never added a contact, your screen right here will look blank. If you've added, 50 people, they're going to all show up on this portal. Now, the big thing that I want you guys and everybody who's watching to do, because right now we have, I believe it's 30% of our office who have done this. So we want to get that number up to 80, 90, 100%, is to put yourself on a smart plan. Because once you see how easy it is to put yourself on a smart plan, you're going to see how beneficial it is, and then how easy it is to add any other contacts you have in here or any future contacts that you meet onto a smart plan. So the first thing that you will want to do is, when you're on the screen, is, if you haven't done it already, add yourself as a contact. So to do that, you will click the turquoise button in the upper right hand corner here that says add contact. So you will click add contact. You will then put in your first name and last name. I've already added myself into the system 2 or 3 times, and I've used every email that's associated with me, so I can't put myself, but I'm just going to do um, buyer. So this is a test account. Okay, so for yourself, you can put your own name in. You would then put in your primary email address. So I'll just do buyer@gmail.com. So this is where you would put in your email address. And once you get to the point that you're doing this for your clients, you would then put in your client's email address. So then you put in your primary phone number. So for those of you, if you don't have my cell phone number, this is my cell phone number. So feel free to save that and text me, call me anytime. Where it says select owner, that's just going to be me because this is in our account. We've done this before. I'm not going to go into this in too much detail, but you can create custom tags, meaning if you want to label a contact as a buyer, a seller, maybe you met them at an open house, maybe you met them at our grand opening for Keller Williams. In the settings, you can create tags for your contacts. So if you've created tags already, this is where you would go in and assign them. So let's say I met this person at Bold. I just want to label them as through the Bold tag. Now, if you want to add more information, which I would recommend doing, you want to add as much information as you have about that contact. So if they have another email address, add that in. If they have another phone number, add that in. The street address, their home address, I would absolutely recommend putting this in, because what we're about to go into doing, which is creating the smart plans, if you have a home address already created, it's going to make it easier when you're selecting neighborhoods to attach to the contact. So let's say I've used my home address many times and I think the system's going to reject it. So I'm just going to do my parents' house. Here we go. So I'll do that out in Hackettstown. If there's an apartment suite number, you would add that information in. If you have any social media profiles that you want to link to the contact, this is where you would just copy and paste it in. So for Facebook, just so you guys know, and I don't know if it's going to let you see the next screen. D, are you seeing my Facebook account, or is it still only showing the command? You see Facebook? Thumbs up?
Yes, I
Okay.
see face.
Thank you, Dee. So if you do want to add social media to someone's account, you would just click where it says my name at the top. If you're looking for yourself, it's the one up at the top. So facebook.com/Matt Billheimer. If I were to click on another contact, so if I were to go back to my home, if I were to click on my friend Colleen, it would just be the one up at the top, facebook.com/Quinn.Colleen. So you could copy that. And if I go back into here, you would then just paste it into here. Now, I'm not going to do that for her because this isn't the right account, but that's what you would do if you wanted to add a Facebook URL. Similarly, if you wanted to add a profile, if you wanted to do Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, anything that you want to connect to a client, you'll be able to upload that way. The About section, if you have their birthday, you would just put in their birthday. So I'll just put in mine, for example, which is coming up in less than a month. I'll be turning 32. Time really flies. Okay, so I'm just going to put 1988. If they purchased a house, like let's say you just closed on a transaction with someone, and you want to put, okay, we closed on a transaction June 8th, 2020, then a year from now, you'll get a notification that will remind you and say, Matt Billheimer just closed a transaction, a year ago. So you might want to check in or just, wish them happy anniversary. Spouse, if you already have another contact in here. So, if I were to do, I think I'm in here, so I could just click myself. So if you have a husband and wife or partners or any situation, you can search for them and add them, and that will connect the two people together. So that way you don't have to have two separate, like you'll have two separate contacts, but they'll also link together in the sense that it'll note that the two contacts are technically related. So you could do brothers, sisters, any of that. So in the rest of this, as I go down, custom, if you needed to add a custom field, something specific to that contact, you'd be able to add it there. But for this, I'm not going to do that. So once you add in all of that information, at the bottom, you're going to click the green turquoise button that says Create. So we're just going to click Create. And let's give it a second to load. And so now it's going to show up in my contact list. So it's showing up right here, A buyers. That's the one that we just did. So the next step to do this is to open up the contact. To open up the contact, you will just click on the name, and that will open it up into the interior section of the contact. Now, one thing that you're going to notice, and Jamie, we talked about this very briefly before we came online, is that because I added a physical address to the contact, you're going to see in the timeline here, it automatically subscribed me to the Mount Olive neighborhood because that's where my parents live. Even though they have a Hackettstown mailing address, they technically live in Mount Olive. And so based on that address, it automatically attached them to that neighborhood. So as we scroll down here, you're going to see where it says neighborhoods, Mount Olive is already attached. Now where my parents live, it's giving me all these suggested neighborhoods. So it's saying Stedwick Village, which is nearby, the Village Green, Flanders Crossing. So if you want to add any of these addresses to your contact, you would just click and say Flanders Crossing. Okay, added. You could say Millbrook Estates. Okay, that one's added. Mooney Mountain, which is also kind of close by to them. You could add all of those suggested neighborhoods and attach it to them, okay? So if you add your address, Jamie, as we talked about, it's gonna assign whatever the closest neighborhood is as your primary neighborhood. With that being said, most commonly, you're gonna be using the neighborhood smart plans and the neighborhoods for two purposes. And there could be more, but two predominant ones that I've often seen. When you're working with sellers and when you're working with buyers. So for example, let's say my parents wanted to list their house in Mount Olive. Most likely, they will want to see suggested neighborhoods that are around them because they're going to want to know what are houses around me selling for. There's a house on their street that just went active. So they're going to want to look at the neighborhoods that we selected because they're closest to them. On the flip side, if you're working with a buyer and they live in Mount Olive, they may not want to stay in Mount Olive. So let's say my parents who live in Mount Olive want to move to Parsippany, hypothetically, because it's close to where my dad works. Then what you can do is you can click the green Add Neighborhood option. You can do search for a neighborhood. So if you know a specific neighborhood, so if you typed in like Packanack Lake in Wayne, that's going to come up. In Parsippany, I think there's one by Smith Field, maybe. Or maybe I'm thinking of Gardner Field in Denville. But what you could do is you could do find on a map. And if a window is going to open up and you can either search for a location, so you can type in a zip code or a specific area, or on the map, you can then zoom in and you can look over in Parsippany as I scroll it over a bit. And then you could say, okay, this is Parsippany Hills. You can zoom in even further to get super zoomed in. And you can pick, as I'm looking at Parsippany now up here, like I said, you can do the zip code or you can zoom in and really look for specific areas. So let's say I were to click Cherry Hill, which is actually right near where my dad works. If I were to click on that, Cherry Hill, if I were to now do Lake Parsippany, you can go in, I'm just showing you, this is where you go in the map. You can click what you want to search for. You can do it zip codes. You can type in a neighborhood, and then you can click Save. So once it's saved.
But Matt, how did you get to the, by clicking on it, your computer automatically let you be able to have those highlighted neighborhoods? My computer is not allowing that.
Which one, the suggested neighborhoods? Or
no,
or when I was on the map?
You went in, searched for a neighborhood in typed?
Oh, when I typed in Packanack Lake, like that, or when I physically opened the map?
Either or. My computer won't allow either.
Um, it
I don't know if
should.
there's a
The only thing I
cookie
can,
or like, I don't know if there's like a block or a
yeah, I
cookie.
would look and see if you have any ad block on, or what I would recommend doing is once we're done, if you're using Chrome, maybe try Safari or Firefox or Internet Explorer, like try different browsers, see if it's a browser issue. And if it's none of those, shoot me a text and I will reach out to KW support, because you should see what I'm seeing where there's a drop down. So if you know the town you're looking at, you would just click on that. Or you could then do find on map like I was doing. And if the map opens, there should be these green blobs that as you zoom in, you could then highlight the neighborhood. So if I wanted to do Millbrook Estates, if I wanted to do Flanders Crossing, Clover Hill Drive, which is actually where I grew up, I love that area, Long Valley, so you could zoom in even more. So this is just pulled from, I believe, Smarter Agent or maybe Next Door. I'm blanking on the company name, but ultimately these neighborhoods are pulled from another company like Smarter Agent or something that Google provides. But yeah, Jamie, if you're not seeing this, try a different browser. And if that doesn't work, let me know, because I do want to reach out to KWI support or Scott Leroy to see if they can take a look, because that's how this should operate.
Can you
So
manipulate those green boxes?
You can't manipulate them, but what you
Cannot.
can do, I'll show you in a second. Dee, do you have a question before
yeah, I had a question. So this is not related at all to the multiple listing system that you're a member of. So if I have a client that wants to move to Vermont, I can still do a snapshot or smart plan of homes in a particular town in Vermont, for example?
Yeah, so if I were to find on a map, like if you have a zip code, I mean, you could do that. But yeah, I could zoom up, and I believe, yeah, see, so this is pulling, like I could do Middletown, New Hampton, New York, or, yeah. So if you have the zip code or if you have the area, I mean, you can plug it in, and yeah, it's not specific to just the GSMLS.
And the information it provides is homes that have sold in that area?
No, so that's actually a good segue into the next section here. So we now just selected neighborhoods. So what your client will get once we put them on the smart plan is, if I click the preview button down here, this is the link that they would get every month with updated information. So these are active, they're under contract. And Jamie, I'm going to get to your question in a minute, because this is the screen that you're going to see it on. So this is Packanack Lake. These are the active listings. It'll show, I believe, things that might be under contract, but it shows things that are active. So you can do filters. You can search by bedrooms, bath, price range, square feet, all of that. And so let me close out of that. But yeah, so if I were to click up at the top here, all the neighborhoods that are assigned to that contact, it's going to show, okay, these are the active listings in Mount Olive. These are the active listings in Millbrook Estates. These are the active listings in Flanders Crossing. So, Jamie, to your question, let me go back to the Mount Olive one. These are the neighborhoods that are pulled from Smarter Agent and from Next Door or whichever company. I can't, I'm blanking on the name. However, so these are already like cut out how they are. But if your client is looking for a specific area, you can click the draw option here on the map. Let me give it a section. You can draw your own specific area that you want to populate. So let me close out and go back in. I'm not sure why that didn't, but when we open it, you're going to see the draw feature right here. And then when you click draw, let's give it a second. You should be able to just draw like a circle around the area or territory that you want to highlight. and it will show any active listings that are in that specific bubble. So you could circle that and show them that feature. For some reason, it's not coming up, but that's what you would do. You would just click the circle, and then it'll fill that pocket with what's active. Does that make sense, Jamie?
Yeah, I'm just gonna, I don't, it's just, it must just be my computer. I don't see that, I don't have a draw feature. This was the same problem I was having months ago. I don't.
Yeah, and I remember we looked at that. Let me, offline, Jamie, I'm gonna reach out to KWR support and Scott Leroy. I'm just gonna reach out right when we're done with this call. Because you should be able to see that. There should be the draw feature, and maybe there's a glitch right now because I've used it plenty of times, which it looks like there is. You just do a circle. It's going to show you all the listings that are in that bubble, and then, that is what it is. The other thing that your clients can do is they can add neighborhoods themselves by clicking the Add Neighborhood option. Because I'm in preview mode, it's not going to work. But when you share it, they can click Add Neighborhood. So if you send them these 5 areas, if they click Add Neighborhood, they can add their own. So you can set them up for ones that you think that they want to look at, but you can also add them, they can add them themselves as well. So this is an interactive, platform where they can then play around with it too. But now if I click out of that, and you're going to see if they add their own neighborhoods in the timeline here, it's going to show you what areas and what neighborhoods they've subscribed to. So all the ones that I've clicked on so far, like Packanack Lake, Cherry Hill, if they save a property that they like, all of that's going to show up in this section right over here. So
Matt, can you just, I want a screenshot where you have the word draw.
Yep.
Because can you just click on that again? Because I literally can't get draw. So I want to be able to.
Yep, absolutely.
Screenshot to show someone like, I don't have that feature.
It's right here.
Yeah. See, and
I like I said, I'll do it for you, Jamie. I'll copy you on the email. So I'll take the initiative and work on getting that straightened out for you. But yeah, if you want to take a picture of that, I'll definitely, after this call, send an email right out. Does that sound good?
okay. Yep. Got it.
Okay. So let me close out of that. So then the next and last thing that you're going to need to do to put yourself on a smart plan is up in the top box here where it says Smart Plans. You will simply click the Smart Plans option. You'll click Add to Smart Plan. So the green box, Add to Smart Plan. And then where it says My Monthly Neighborhood Nurture. So there's a bunch of different Smart Plan options. And I'm going to do another Smart Plan class later this month on other ones you can select. But for this one, the My Monthly Neighborhood Nurture, you do the drop down. So every month they're going to get an email that is very simply going to be that link that I just showed. It's going to say, here are new information on your neighborhoods. I forget exactly what the email says, but all you're going to do is click select. You can either start it now, or you can start it like tomorrow. You can start it a week from now. And then every 30 days after that, they will then get this link with updated information. And like I said, it's a live link, so it's always going to, if you clicked on the same link, if the email goes out an hour from now, if they open that link tomorrow, 3 days from now, 4 days from now, it's always going to show new listings that are coming on the market. So it's a live link. So that's really how to put someone on a smart plan and really how to activate it. So I implore you guys to put yourself on one and just kind of check it out. And feel free to do it and share it with other clients and really, move forward with that.
Matt, is it like the MLS where it sends it out at like 3 o'clock in the morning, or is it immediate? Like, do you know how that? Well, the MLS, if you set them up on like an auto thing, it'll shoot it out at like 3 in the morning. Is there a time that this shoots it out? Do we know that?
I believe once you activate it, it will go out within like that next like 12 hours. Like I think if you were to activate it in the morning, when I've activated it, I've often gotten it later in the day. So it's not time specific. It's just I think whatever is in the queue for what needs to go out.
Yeah.
Now, you can do an MLS type thing. I'm going to show you one quick thing because then I do have to run in a couple minutes. If you want to start putting people on saved searches, so Smart Plans was what I just showed you for the neighborhood URLs, but the saved searches feature, the one at the far right, you can create a saved search, and basically, Jamie, you can do different neighborhoods, you can do zip codes, you can do different things, and that's going to give you like where something goes out every day or anytime there's new listings that meet their criteria. So if I were to do, let's say Flanders Crossing, and I were to select on that, if I were to do a minimum price range of 400,000 to 500,000, let's say, you know, property type, listing status for sale, active, pending. So this is similar to what you can do on the MLS. Now, when I do create, so this would go out kind of just like the MLS one, and anytime there's new listings that meet the criteria, they'll get an email saying, hey, you know, here are 2 new listings that popped up in your neighborhood. So that's just something to play around with too. I'm not going to go into too much detail on that. I mean, it's kind of self-explanatory, but I just wanted to show you that in addition to the smart plans, which is very effective, if you do want to use our saved searches feature rather than using the MLS option, you are able to do that and more than welcome to do that. Okay. I have to go in like 2 minutes because I have another call. I have someone that I'm calling at 10:30. Is there any question that you guys want me to wrap up on? Okay.
Nope.
And Jamie, I will send an email out after I finish this call. It should be just like 15 minutes. I'll send an email then to Scott Leroy and to Kate Eberai to get to the bottom of the issue with your platform to see if they have any insight and can help us.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you guys. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll post this recording to the Facebook group as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good rest of your day.
You too.
Bye.